For our first day of working with the machines, of making our toolbox, we are going to build the bottom piece. The simplest piece, but if you mess it up, you'll have significant problems down the road. This one is just ever so slightly off by a quarter of an inch, and this student would have had to start over because this piece is just too wide at the bottom. This is an example of a student who put their piece the wrong direction, and I'll explain that in a moment, and they ended up with a piece that was much too wide. So the significance of marking this out correctly start right now, and every piece does. So we're going to build the base. I have this flat piece of sheet metal here, and the first thing I want you to do is to make sure that you figure out which direction you need to go. And I want you to do that by making a simple mark. You should have multiple Sharpie markers in your station, and you need to figure out which way is 12 inches and 10 inches. I have a 12-inch little ruler here. You should have something similar to that. And I know this is 12 inches and this is 10 and a half. So 10 and a half. I'm just going to make a simple mark here. I might put a small pen, small arrow, and a line, small arrow, and write 12 inches that way. And that way I know that this is 12 inches and all my bends need to be along this direction. I should never cross that 12 inches with bends. It may be a little confusing, but I think it'll make more sense as we move along here. Okay, so again there you can see my 12-inch mark. Alright, so I'm going to use my red mark on my red pen just for a difference of knowing which way I want to bend. So I'm going to look down here and I'm going to mark my first two marks. And well, actually all four, but we'll start with the first two. We need to make, in order to make this small little hem here, right here, so it's going to be a bend and a hem, so we have a nice edge. It's not too sharp. We need to mark 1/4 of an inch from each side. And so, I can see if I can get my camera zoomed in just right here. I want to mark at 1/4 of an inch in. So, 1/2 inch, 1/4 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch, full inch. I want to line up my ruler right with the end, and I want to make a small line right here at 1/4 of an inch. And then the other side, I want to do it just the same way, which line my ruler up right there and make a small mark right there at 1/4 of an inch. The other side, again, making sure I've got the correct, my 12 inches. I don't want to mess this up. I can go right here, 1/4 of an inch, and here, 1/4 of an inch. So you can pause your video and make these marks first. Next we have to make the next mark. We want to be 2 inches from this mark. Our 1/4 of an inch, 2 inches in, and for accuracy, I don't like to put my ruler right on this red mark. I just put it here and go 2 inches plus the 1/4. So I'm looking for 2 1/4 inch. So I'm at the end. Ruler's nice there. Mark it right at 2 1/4. Other side, repeat. So 1/4 plus 2 is, 2 1/4. Other side, I'll repeat that again. And I'll go 2 1/4. Over here, we'll go, again, marking the ruler on the edge so I get it very accurate. For accuracy, I think it helps a lot to go flat edge to flat edge, 2 1/4. So go ahead and pause your video and get those marks in. Alright, so now you have all your marks and we're ready to make our lines across. But first we want to double check that we have all our marks in a good spot. What we're looking for is 6 inches between here. Now sheets of metal could be cut off by, we ordered these sheets like this and they can vary a little bit, but we're looking for 6 inches between these two marks. We'll see how our metal turned out because I didn't actually check to make sure this piece of metal is perfect. Now I got right here in this mark to this little red mark is really close. It's probably a 32nd off. So that's a 16th and below a 16th between 6 and 32nd I can definitely live with. So I'm going to check the other side. Bring my ruler in again. And again I'm really close. I'm maybe a 16th off. That I can live with. Anything over a 16th you may want to ask your instructor and we'll double check to see how this sheet will work. But first, before you ask your instructor, make sure you double check your quarters and your 2-inch marks. Alright, now we're going to make our lines across to make our bends and hems. So we're going to we need to draw a complete line. So I'm going to line these up really perfect on my red lines. I don't want to get in the way of the camera here, but I want to make sure I like to split the red line. I like to believe I made my mark so good that I'm going to split my line and draw a line straight down it. And it doesn't have to go the full distance. I mean, you could stagger it a little bit. This will all be covered up or wiped off later. So mine looks like that. And on this one, I'm going to do the same thing. You know, you can mark the whole way. It's just fine. On the other two, you could do something as simply as, if you're really confident, you could really just mark a short line at each end, but probably this is the first time you've worked with metal, so a full line is fine. So you're going to mark all 4 of your lines very accurately, again, because accuracy is really this is going to affect the entire, this is the easiest piece, but if you mess it up, you'll be in trouble later in assembly on day 6 or 7. Make sure you got your 12-inch line lined up with your other 4 lines. Pause your video, have your instructor check this to make sure you are okay, and then we'll move on to the box and pan brake. Next we're going to use the box and pan brake to bend and hem our sheet metal that we've marked out. First things first, we have a clamp lever over here, clamp handle that lifts the part over here, the second part, the fingers right here, and then we'll slide our metal in, and I'll show you how to line that up in a moment. So we'll lower this, and that's the clamp lever. Then we have the apron lever, which we will use to bend our metal. And so, main 3 things: lever, fingers, and clamp are the things that I need you to know. One thing before I get started here, you can notice I'm wearing gloves. Sheet metal is sharp. It can and will cut you throughout this process if you don't use gloves the whole time. So we require you wear gloves at all times. So back to our metal here. In order to get my fingers up, I have to use my clamp, which I'm going to show you real quick just once how I'm going to release the fingers. So you can see my clamp here. I'm going to lift my clamp. It goes up and down with the fingers. So right now I'm going to lift it just a little bit. So now we'll come back over here and show you how to make our first bend. So you can see my red line, and I'm going to hold the clamp with one hand, and it's almost better to have your partner operate the clamp and you operate the sheet metal, and you'll do a little better than I'm doing lining this up. It might be a little easier. I can get it and then clamp it down. Make sure you're right on that red line all the way across, because just very important. And this is going to be a hard angle to see, but I'm going to bend this past 90 degrees. Only there are 2 1/4-inch bends need to be past 90 degrees. These middle ones are going to be at 90. We'll show you in a little bit, so please do not bend your sheet in advance before you've watched this video. So for this first piece, I'm going to grab down below here. You're not going to be able to see it very well. I'm going to take my hands on the lever and bend all the way up and lift the levers all the way up and give it a nice tug, and that is our bend. And you'll take the lever, the clamp, and release and get your piece out. Okay, now we're going to bend our other side from the back view, just so you can see. So I'm going to, again, you can't see this very well. I'm going to clamp it down, make sure my red line is split right in the fingers. So it helps have your partner, so you get it just right. Clamp it down. With my gloves, I grab on the lever down here and bend all the way up. Release with the clamp, and you can see I've got a consistent bend. It's past 90 degrees, and that is what our bend should look like right at our 1/4-inch mark. Next, what you'll need to do is we're going to hem this piece. And so to hem it, we want to smash this flat. And so it's a 2-step process. The first step, we'll use the box and pan brake. The fingers need to be all the way down, and you're going to lay this piece so the piece is laying here, and this part, the small bend that we've done so far, is facing out towards you. And you're going to take this and you're going to lift the levers, and it will smash it flat and get it nice solid bend. And we're looking to get it so it's close to flat. It's not flat yet, but we'll smash that with the mallet next. Next, we're going to smash this edge down with your mallet. You want to do it on the flat surface of the vise. You don't want to do it on the table. On the vise is where we're going to do it. So you simply just take the mallet, smash that all the way down, and that completes your hem. So anytime you're going to make a hem in this process, that is the 3-step process you'll do. First, use the box and pan brake to bend it, then to smash the hem down, and then use the mallet on your vise to finish off the crease. Next, we're going to make our last bend on our toolbox base, right on our red line here. And we have 2 of them, and this will be the conclusion of this piece for a couple of days. So again, we'll release the handle up, and I'll move my hand a little bit so you can see. I'm trying to get right on the red line again, right across here. And it's, again, always helpful with your partner's help. As I do it by myself, I have to kind of make small adjustments. And it's worth it to take your time so you don't make mistakes. Get it locked in place. Make sure you have your gloves in. Double check your red line. Don't get in a hurry. It's off. Do it again. Grab the levers. And the key is we're pulling up to a 90 degree. We are not over bending it. We're stopping at 90 degrees. So this is also where your partner is helpful to watch. So I'm coming up right here, so a 90 degree bend. So this should be facing straight up in the air. You can see right there I released a little bit, kind of bent back. So I do want to over bend it just a little bit, but at the same time not overdoing it. Release, let it come out, kind of double check, make sure it's 90, and flip to the other side, right on my red line. Clamp, grab your levers, come up to 90, don't get in a hurry. Like there I felt like it was a little bit of a hurry, but Stop right at 90 degrees, release the clamp, take this off, and you have a 90 degree and 90 degree. Now at this point, it's very important you mark your piece with the Sharpie marker that's provided. Write your first and last name in the bottom of this, so that way you don't get this mixed up with other people. So make sure you write your name. So go ahead and stop your video and make your last bends. And make sure you store it in the right cabinet with your name on it, and your other pieces of metal always go stored in the same cabinet. It's marked according to your mod.